The first 3 rules of using commas, and these are going to be completely review for you because these are kind of the easy rules. So number 1 is to separate items in a series. There you go. Now will you guys pass that back to me? Thank you. Okay, so it's separate items in a series. So like this is like the listing commas, right? So it's like I went to the store and bought eggs, milk, gummy bears, and potatoes.
I just wrote 1, 2, 3, 4 in my example.
Perfect, yeah. Let's talk about this last one though, because this is a fun one. So this one has a name. That one's called the Oxford comma. And technically, you have a choice whether or not to include the Oxford comma, and different style guides have different ideas about whether or not you must include the Oxford comma. But as we progress as a species, I'm very pro Oxford comma. As we progress as English speakers, we've started to use it more and more because it usually will stop confusion. So I'm going to show you an example of this. I saw this cartoon online, so I'm not taking credit for it, but we had a party and invited the strippers, JFK, and Stalin. It was a very random comic, but I liked it. Okay, so in this sentence, what I love is I'm recording this, but I'm still worried about people outside. Okay. In this sentence, we've got at least 4 people, right? We've got, that's JFK.
Perfect. Where's the bone?
We've got Stalin. And we have, there's the beautiful long hair. Gorgeous. Strippers. All right, so we've got at least 4 people, right? And that's with the Oxford comma. If we get rid of the Oxford comma, it's no longer clear that there are 4 people. There could be, but the way you can read this is, we had a party and invited the strippers, JFK and Stalin, and we go like, oh yeah, and those are some fun strippers.
Now, that is a party that I would go to.
Okay, hurry and erase. All right, so all right, so we want to use that Oxford comma usually. Like I would say, just use it, and when you use it, you put it after that last or before the coordinated conjunction there, before the and. Okay, so those are the rules for the list. The second rule, here I can use a better marker. Rule number 2 is to separate equally weighted adjectives. So this is like the attractive bearded man. Anytime that you can put the word and in between the adjectives and still have it make sense, but you're not using the word and, you need to use a comma. So you could say the attractive and bearded man. Right? But you couldn't say, you could say that, but I don't want to. I'm just going to say the attractive bearded man because the and is kind of like superfluous, so I'll just use a comma there instead. This gets tricky when you have stuff like adverbs in there, the attractively bearded man. Could you say the attractively and bearded man? No. So you wouldn't have a comma there because you're actually talking about how the beard is attractive and not the man. Make sense? Okay. Rule number 3, last rule. To separate independent clauses. Okay, now this one is a little bit more tricky because you have to know what a clause is and what an independent clause is. But it's not too hard. So for a sentence to be complete, for a clause, let's say this, for a clause to be complete, it needs to have a subject and a verb. That's all it has to have. So a complete clause would be like, I run, right? You can put all sorts of clauses together, though. You don't just have to have reasons, or you don't have to have clauses as simplistic as this, right? You could say, I run, and add another independent clause to it. She laughs at my running, I guess. Right? And then we have one independent clause 1, and we have independent clause 2. If you are going to put independent clauses next to each other, you have to use a coordinating conjunction. A coordinating conjunction is one of these. So it's for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. Those are all the coordinating conjunctions. So we use this acronym FANBOYS, which most people hear that one in elementary school, but if you haven't heard of that before, it's just the words that put independent clauses together. If you use that coordinating conjunction, you also have to use a comma. This is not strong enough on its own. It needs some help to connect those two. So you put the comma before the coordinating conjunction. I run, comma, and she laughs. Let's say I'm running and laughing. Do I need a comma in that one? Okay, people are shaking their head no. Why don't I need a comma, Isaac?
Because there's only one subject.
Exactly. So we only have one independent clause here. An independent clause could include multiple verbs, right? But as long as I'm doing both these things, I don't want to separate the two things with a comma. The important thing here is that I am the one running and laughing, and I don't want to separate the subject from the thing that the subject is doing with a comma. Commas have to be these two separate ideas. What if it's like this? I run and I laugh. This is the one time that you have an option. I put it there because I like commas. But you don't absolutely have to if I'm repeating the same subject. That's the only time you have options now, is if you're repeating the same subject. If it's long, I run to the store, but the store didn't have what I wanted. It still works the same way, right before the coordinating. Okay, I know that's something that you've been learning about for quite a while now. Maybe not with those terms, maybe with those terms. But I'm going to have you now correct just the first paragraph in the sample paragraphs that I gave you. So it's at the bottom after all the rules. It's like the bottom of the sheet. I forgot how. Was it the morning? Or this morning? Yes, this morning. Okay, so in this one, you need to add commas and you need to add capitalizations, since we're still making sure we know those capitalizations. So yeah, I'm guessing you found it, but this is in the Canvas assignment called commas. There should be 5 commas in this. Sometimes I'm wrong on that and overlook something, but that's what I'm seeing. 5 commas and 10 capitalizations. And that depends on American Dream. I capitalize both American and Dream because I'm calling it the title of that thing. Okay, I'm gonna do check-in where you're gonna check in with your neighbor. If your neighbor does not have 5 commas, work out where those 5 commas are, talk to each other. If your neighbor has 6 commas, work out where maybe one of those commas should not be.
How many what? I have 6. I have 6. So I put after the dishes, my mom do laundry. And then there's writing and I put one after I felt so good about my day. I finished it.
That's the one that I think was. I had also
That's right. After is not one of those coordinating conjunctions, so you don't need a comma there. Okay, now check in with the capitalizations. Those are fairly simple in this one, but make sure you got the same words capitalized.
I have 9.
I have 10.
Okay, which one should I write?
Did you capitalize
You know what, I just.
the letter A, the
Yeah.
letter B, and
Sorry, I didn't even think about
Yeah,
that.
but I counted it as like.
That was just me. Yeah, sorry, I just counted AP as 1, that was my problem. So if you have 11, then you're good.
And then all the eyes.
Don't capitalize Labradoodle. No, we don't capitalize breeds. So let me just go through and I'll tell you now what should be capitalized first. So all of the I's need to be capitalized. I capitalize American and Dream. You capitalize AP. You capitalize English. And that's it. Okay, yeah. No, because I'm saying this is my mom, that's sort of her role in my life, but I'm not using the word mom there as a nickname. If I said call mom, then I'd be using it as a nickname and I would capitalize the M in mom. Okay, then the commas. There's a comma after dishes, comma after mom, comma after laundry, comma after students, because in a long sentence like that, you definitely need to use the Oxford comma, and then a comma after first. There's no comma after the word day, because after is not one of those coordinating conjunctions. It's a dependent marker word, and we'll talk about those next time. Okay, any questions? Awesome, we'll do more practice later. Let's get that way. So, you guys read books for today. How did that go?
Good.
Good. Good. Nobody absolutely hated their book?
It was very interesting.
Well, that's good. Like that, maybe that comes from like being able to self-select your book, right? Like you actually got to choose what you were interested in. So I'm not sure how many people chose what for today. So I'm gonna have you sit in different spots, and then I'm going to divide you further into smaller groups from there. So I'm gonna have the things they carried people. You guys are gonna come over here. I'm gonna have their eyes were watching God people. You're coming around here. And then of mice and men people in this class, I think we only have a few of those. You guys are gonna come right over here.
Oh, I forgot to bring the actual book though. Dang it, that's right.
If you guys need copies of the book, they are back there on that back counter. They're just stacked up. You'll need to dig through them to find the ones you need. Oh, thank you. Which book? You read The Things I Carried, right?
Yes.
Okay, Against the Wall.
Okay, and I didn't have any internet last night. Like my whole house like shut down with a blackout, so I couldn't get my essay tuned in. And I know that it was due at 7 this morning. And I know you said no late work.
Yeah, but did you write it?
No.
Oh, I see. You couldn't get to the
Yes.
prompt or anything.
Yeah.
But you read the book,
Yes.
and you promised Crush Your Heart.
That I read the book.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I was confused what that meant.
I trust you. Then just turn it in. That happened to somebody else too. Just turn it in.
I can get it turned in by tonight.
That's what I wanted. Okay, good. Turn it in by tonight. Yeah. Wait, it's only you two for Mice and Men? Eli, which book did you read?
I read the Vietnam one.